Yeah,
job of being with a few blocks from there.
I know the story. I don't know if anybody.
I don't like
on
to
the
use.
podcast
I feel like I'm.
knows the story.
Like I'm using death to.
You really saw something.
No, I was there.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, it was
traumatic.
But I don't like to, because it was real, man. I saw people deciding, okay, I'm going to jump.
Yeah.
Like I could see I could tell if it was a guy or a girl saying, okay, I'm going to jump to certain death rather than to face the heat or fire. That's when it made me think about fire differently too, because obviously fire is a good metaphor for something you don't want to experience, because people would rather jump to certain death than to face the flames. That's crazy.
That is super crazy.
So just seeing that and the waste of it, and then realizing it was like for no reason, that all messed with me, man. I really suffer from, I don't like to say that because I wasn't a soldier. I did suffer from a form of PTSD.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that
you saw death firsthand. And that's...
It was and not only that, that year I was at the New York Academy, or a school based around, human anatomy. We went to, they sent us to Oxford. We were cutting open cadavers. I was drawing dead people. I had dead people right next to me for hours, and you're drawing for hours, right? So you're around a dead person. What do you think you're doing when you're drawing? You're contemplating your own mortality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this whole death thing just really sunk in, and it started to mess with me. Lucky at my art, and Dia los Muertos, all that allowed me to express all that stuff through that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but life, man, and those things. I think that whole that's the main thing, right? The main horror of life, right? Is that death, right? That we're not going to...
I think if we could even kind of turn it around and look at it, it's if anyone wants to think, okay, it's almost like if you go on a vacation or something, you know there's a beginning and a middle, and there is an end, and the whole thing is just like, what do you want to do with that journey? What do you want to just kind of go with the status quo, or do you want to do interesting things
that's what it did for me. It lit a fire on my ass because, and it turned into a positive, because I realized, we are going to die. So, but we're not supposed to be thinking about that. We should be celebrating life. And that's what that's the message. It's really a celebration of life.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what? That's going to happen. That's why we should live life much more fuller. And that tied in directly to what I was doing with my art, because it made me go, look, I'm not going to, you have a certain amount of time here. Yeah. Do the best you can with that time. So for me, it goes, I'm going to leave a mark. I'm going to leave a mark before I go. You know what I'm saying? Because, and why not? You know what I mean? Because we're not going to be here forever.
Right.
We're not coming back. There's a lot of ideas out there, but we don't know anyone who's come back and been here. Once it's gone, it's gone. So cherish the time, enjoy the life that you have, man. It's more. It's not the death thing, but it makes you appreciate. And it kind of, for me, it made me think about what's important in life. Things like greed and material things, they'll start to not mean anything. I was going to say shit, but they start not to mean anything, because it's temporal, man, and it gives life that much more meaning, man.
Yeah.
And so that's, for me, that's what you'll start to see what's important. Like your family, your children, relationships, friends. Like, what if you make $1 million, but everybody hates you? You got no friends. Your family hates you. But you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you mean.
If you don't have connections, if you don't have friends, if you don't have those connections with people, those are worth more than anything, man, that money has. I mean,
I agree.
Money makes miracles. We got to, man makes the world, of course, right? But to make that the end all or be all, that's a waste of life, man, because you don't get to take that stuff with you, man. You go, everything is borrowed in the end. That's the way I look at it. Everything is borrowed.
I think, too, even if you look at all these really tragic stories about these phenomenal personalities, and you think, my God, they have the most amazing life and the most amazing job, like Anthony Bourdain, and then that person was so not okay, and they were so obviously not happy within themselves, despite all of the monetary, the monetary.
Yeah, it looked good.
Oh my God,
it looks good, but that's not where the happiness lies.
And so you're right. You do have to have that inner peace, joy, love, and gratitude. And when you do have that, that's regardless of your financial standing, that's really where you can enjoy life. And I think when you're in that position, like for me, what I found is that I've just done better and better, even like financially. I see when I don't put such a big deal, like, yes, I'm going to be intelligent about my spending and where I'm working and how much I'm making and whatnot. But you kind of just look at everything calmly, intelligently, and with gratitude at everything, at my work, at my relationships, with my creativity. I don't ever put one over the other. It's like it's a balancing act. And I think once you do that, you have a little bit more inner peace and enjoyment of your life.
Yeah. And, how many poor people? I mean, think of, like there's these studies that Latinos and Mexicans are the happiest people right out there, and they're poor, man. You know what I mean? A lot of them are poor, but they're happy. They got their family lives. Everything's intact. They're not making all the money. They're working for nothing, but they're happier than the people that they're actually working for, man. And where does that come from? It's not the money. It's not it's an inner happiness comes from the inside.
Right.
Cliche or whatever.
No,
but it's really true. The happiness doesn't come from anywhere but inside you. You have to manufacture that or figure out how to wait, because you can't buy it. I mean, you can't. It's temporary, right? All pleasures kind of, and then when you kind of do it superficial and cheap like that, it's always like it's like a drug or anything else. You need more of it, like twice as much to get the same. It's fleeting.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, these are interesting things, right?
Very.
Because, and to me, it ties directly into my art.
Yeah, totally.
Because that's connected. It's like my vein that comes out of me in my work. That is part of my life, absolutely and completely.
So, Tanya, tell me, real quickly, the characters in your book, how did you create these characters?
I love that. I love that question. I actually love them. I really do. Even the little, like the young girl, Luna, it's little pieces of, I would say, like me and my daughter, or just even people I observe or what I thought would be an interesting, an interesting character, the grandmother figure. In Mexican culture, we, or a lot of us, revere our grandmothers, And I mean, my mother and my grandmother were just such interesting, wonderful, amazing women. And my mother would always just tell me such interesting stories, and she opened me up to Egyptian mythology. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, and she was just such...
and your mom opened you up to...
Yeah, at a very young age. I mean, we would go to the San Jose Rosicrucian Museum.
May I ask if your mom was born here, or was she born in Mexico?
So...
No.
She was born in Chihuahua, but she grew up in San Francisco.
Chihuahua? Okay. That's where my family's from.
Yeah. She grew up here.
Chihuahua, just wait. No, that's cussing too.
That's cussing.
Yeah, so... And all the other characters were really little kind of bits and pieces of different family members, friends, and just, again, what I thought would be an interesting character in somebody. Now, I would sit there, for example, the Earth Goddess and, the Moon Goddess. I really did sit there and read a lot. I read a lot about all the mythologies in the book. I really read about them. I'm not going to tell anyone, this should be considered a, historical, factual.
None of it is
information.
Right?
No. Well, it's just based
off. And
it's
always morphing. Your job is to morph it.
Yeah. So I took little pieces of different mythologies, but I made them from my own voice. So I hope no one sits there and goes, "Oh."
So why mythology? I just picking your head on that. Why mythology, and why right? And why do so many people touch on? I want your idea. I have mine.
You know mythology? What? It's just, I've just loved it from a very young age. It's just, and sometimes we can't explain why we are fascinated by particular topics, but it's always captured mine because I just love, I've always had a love for different cultures.
Mythology is the ultimate.
What do you mean?
It's the ultimate. It is the sum total of all of human experiences, like what you would have in dreams or anything like that. That's why mythology is full of like heroes and stuff like that, because they are the idea of what a perfect person would be like, how best to live our lives, and it's been done over the millennia. It's a pattern. They're patterns that repeat themselves that are embedded in your DNA, basically. Yeah. It's like your ancestors communicating through this idea of mythology.
Yeah.
And that's why you find the same stories in different cultures. It's like the same thing, because we're all humans and we all went through the same stuff. Say the other thing. And so,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why, that's what I'm saying. So think about that. You're talking about the ultimate. You're not talking about like, oh, I went to the store and, we had tacos here. It's not one of them stories. It's the ultimate story, right? And I think that's why mythology
I didn't think of it that way. No, thank you for sharing.
And
that.
we need those stories. Those stories have to keep, because they're like the blueprint of how to live your life.
I think, well, for me, I feel it's really important to make diversity normal. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I also wanted to write a part of it too. Even in the screenplay I wrote, I tried to make it not just even one culture, just try to like put little various elements of various cultures in there. So as somebody reading it can go, I'm from there, or hey, my friend's from there, or my grandma's from there, because I think we're so used to just seeing, one culture and one way in here in the States. And if we could kind of be I'm trying to contribute to more, us being less myopic, more open-minded.
Yeah, because your mythology is also geared by, your culture, right?
So, yes. And so even here...
It's the same thing, but interpreted according to the rules of your society and culture.
Yes. And even in here, it's like a person's going to die because they broke certain quote-unquote rules. Right. But I do love it in there because I think we can see pieces of ourselves in all the characters.
No, that's wonderful, because I could see that, like, I'm not going to read this book on, I don't want to pick out a certain, let's just say Indian, like, I can't connect to that. Mm-hmm. But if you brought it like, oh, but this Aztec went over there, they're like, okay, I get it now. Okay, that's awesome. That's beautiful. That's cool.
Yeah, and I think just really quickly that I did want to point out was that all the characters, they just kind of have little pieces of human elements, kind of like where you think it's almost like someone who's really rigidly following a law to the point where they're going to hurt somebody else, but in their mind they're doing something right. But at the end of the day, they don't know any better because that's the way that they were
like
taught.
Programs.
So
they're running their program.
They're running on their program.
Humans, we're like puppets. We really are. We don't know what we control, but human nature is always
and a lot of the gods in there too are very much run by programs. So that's so there is that whole kind of
makes for good storytelling too, right?
Yeah.
Where you take two things and then what happens when these things?
Yes, and nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfectly good. Nobody's perfectly bad. Even the really, really bad person, it's like that person's coming from a place of, well, I'm a trained warrior.
Yeah.
This is what
could be you.
This is what I do. It could be somebody
who could be you. You could be that bad person.
Yeah.
You were in that situation or whatever.
Yeah.
So let me tell you what I'm doing right now. I'm actually buying your book as we speak on Amazon.
Yeah. So where can we find your book?
On Amazon.
Amazon.
So
I'm actually buying it right now as we speak.
I got mine.
Cool. Thank you.
Fingerprints all over it.
Yeah, you can. It's.
You get the free.
No, we're trading.
No, we're trading. I'm gonna get artwork.
Oh. Well, can I get? No, I'm just kidding.
Barter system.
I know, right?
Just you could either look at my name, Tanya Araiza Ramirez.
Right now. And do you recommend? So I have a 16-year-old. You think she should love this book?
I would like to. I would like to think so and hope so. Yeah, I would say it's more appropriate for I would say 14 years and up.
14 and up.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, or even I guess middle school. There are no. I don't have any cuss words in there. I don't have anything inappropriate in terms anything that would be non-friendly to a child. Like anything sexual or.
What about demon goddesses eating children, nothing like that?
I don't have Lilith in there.
So you were saying that your mom got you into the Egyptian. How did she get into that? Did you ever ask her?
I never asked her, actually. Yeah, I
was curious.
It's kind of the beginning of it. Well, as far as recording.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of it all. So it's kind of the source that we... we know some other stuff, but it's...
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding when I say I loved it. I mean, I remember in 8th grade,
You did a project on it and everything.
Yeah,
I bet.
On Cleopatra, on the... Well, Cleopatra was not she was actually one of the rulers of Egypt during the time of when Alexandrians were ruling Egypt. But still, it's like anything just along the lines...
I wrote a 15-page paper on Akhenaten.
Really?
I think that's the longest thing I've ever written.
15 pages?
I might have written some more, but yeah, I can tell you anything about him.
Yeah, even just visually, it just the hieroglyphs, the painting, the color is just so stunning, and that to me it's just on par with that from my aesthetically what my eyes really enjoy.
And it connects to the Aztecs and the Mayas because they even the way they're set up with Orion's belt, the way they're lined up and their pyramids and
exactly,
and
the artwork, the color,
the astronomy.
Yes,
I just learned something else about the Aztecs too. So when they were recording the stars and the movements, they weren't going like that recording. They had reflection.
Yeah.
So they would just mark the floor. They were looking at the stars on the ground.
I did not.
Isn't that crazy?
That is true.
And they would just leave a mark. Boom, boom, boom. That's how they were able to record the movements of the stars and planets.
So I have scenes in the story where we're going through ancient Aztec kingdom, and the thing is that in college I actually took a class. It was